This was especially difficult, and I don't feel as though it had to be necessarily. There's a list of requirements, and then they go through things once you submit them, and one-off tell you what else they need. Welcome back to another midweek Modern Craftsman. Hopefully everyone has been enjoying the change of pace on the main podcast, bringing in some guests, interviewing some different people within the industry, probably outside of the industry as well, but it's been a nice change of pace for Nick and myself. Another thing that's been a big change of pace is that I wanted to give all of you an update on our own personal home build. I know you've heard about this in the background. If you follow me on social, you probably see that things are getting going. We are finally moving some dirt, cutting in the new driveway, getting the erosion control in place, getting that inspected, buying some new equipment. And for the first time in a long time, this feels very real, very scary, very exciting as well. It's a lot of those feelings, right? There's excitement, there's frustration, and I want to peel back the curtain on a little bit of what this process has looked like, where I currently stand with things, and what's coming down the road. So hopefully you enjoy this one. I've been in business since 2010. I've had a lot of experience growing up in the trades, working for my father, working on rental units, working for clients, going to college for construction management. I started my business pretty soon thereafter. I wasn't always doing remodeling work, definitely was not always doing new builds. But 16 years I've been in business, and all of the experience, every struggle, every victory, the entire 16 years has led up to where I am now. Building this house has been a huge dream of mine, not in the sense of, hey, I want to build this amazing house. It's going to have every sort of updated technology and all this cool stuff. It's going to be a decent house. It'll be a well-built house. But I'm doing this more so for privacy. I'm doing it for efficiency. I'm doing it for equity. And also, the dream has been to self-perform and build a house from foundation, frame, through finish as much as I can handle myself. There's going to be aspects of it that I'm going to subcontract that makes sense, but I really want to be a part of this entire process and pay homage to people in the past and the master builders and people who were truly foundation, frame to finish. That's what my goal is for this, and I think that I have the ability to do that, and I'm excited to do that, and that's part of the allure of doing this. Being able to build a family home for you, for your children, something that you could possibly leave to them once you're gone. That's what the purpose of this house is for me, more so than just, hey, I want to show off what I can do. It's more so just to be a part of this and really leave my stamp on this house. I'm obviously feeling excited. I'm feeling very anxious. I'm feeling stressed, nervous. I think that that's all very normal, right? I'm trying to press down and subside some of the feelings of being overwhelmed just with everything else that we have going on in life, and trying to enjoy this and taking in steps and not stress too much about it. Obviously, spending a ton of money, spending a ton of time, pulling back from some of the jobs that I'm doing, it's going to complicate life. Our kids are at the age where there's sports. We have a lot of commitments. It's going to be a hectic 18 months or so, but I'm trying to just take it in stride and understand that this is part of the process and that all will be well, and that this is something that years and years and years from now we're going to be able to enjoy and look back on and just have it be this really great experience. May not feel as though that's the case while living it, but I think that that's pretty typical of life in general. So some of the frustrations that I've been dealing with, permitting. I've done it for additions. I've done it for, I've gone through the zoning process. I've done it for decks, remodels, renovations, first floor renovations, as-built, everything. I've handled it except for a new build. This was especially difficult, and I don't feel as though it had to be necessarily. It seemed as though, and there's people out there with far more experience than me, but there's a list of requirements, and then they go through things once you submit them, and one-off tell you what else they need, or hey, we forgot about this, or hey, we need this letter, or hey, this is what we told you before, and now that's changing. Rather than saying, hey, we're going to go through everything, figure out what you need, come back to you once, give you everything that you need, and then we'll open the file once we have all of those documents recollected rather than back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It seemed as though this was the first time anyone in my town has ever built a house. I know that there were some unique challenges with our property and variances and what we were getting done, but the process, if it were me and I worked in the office and this is all that I did, whether it be with the utility company, the town, the engineer, the architect, all of that, it seems as though, hey, right, the town, we accept and review permitting day in and day out. Why is there not a more streamlined, official, organized process for getting all of this done? That's my biggest complaint there. A lot of the downtime and the wasted time was just, hey, I gave them something that they needed. 6 weeks later, I'm hearing back from paperwork that the township had in their possession for 5 weeks. If you are a client, if you've borrowed money, if you're paying interest on a loan, that's money that's going out the window that really is unnecessary, right? The process should be smoother. The communication should be easier. There seems as though there should be more a system than, hey, every single job that's coming through is one-off. So I was frustrated by that. There were a lot of frustrations as far as dealing with DEP and getting our variances and all of that, where it went through, but a lot of internally it didn't seem like people were speaking, right? The septic engineer, the well engineer, the county, the Board of Health, the DEP, the township, it's all of these separate entities, and nobody's really corresponding, and they're waiting on something from somebody else that they already have or somebody in their office has that they don't realize. And if you're not the one following up on that, if you're not pushing that along, then it just doesn't happen, or it happens on its own time. So that there was some frustrations there. If I did this more, I would really document a process for this where every single thing that I possibly needed or ran into sequentially was in order, and I had checklists, and hey, if you have this, go to this step. If you don't have this, go get this, and then come back to this step. Something for my own sake and sanity and peace of mind, rather than one-off, hey, we need this form signed. Hey, we need this notarized letter. Hey, we approved this at zoning, and now we're deciding that we didn't approve this at zoning, and we sent this back to the township 5 weeks ago, and you're just getting it now. So lessons learned on my part, feeling as though the timeline has already been bumped and pushed, and things took longer than anticipated, when I really don't feel as though they had to. Yes, there are certain things that I didn't know and I was learning throughout this process, but at that point, like, I'm not the first person that it's their first larger project of this scale. There should be a system in place to save everyone's time and sanity, including internally. All that said, all that done, building permit in hand, zoning permit in hand, first signs of the project. So because of the size of the lot, because of how much ground we're disturbing and what we're developing, it's a 6-acre lot. We're really working on about 2 acres of it, but I needed to have soil erosion control in place. There's a creek next to us, so some wetlands I need to protect, all that stuff. So getting all that erosion control in place, separate from the DEP, separate from the town, there's a county soil conservation district that you have to have a separate registration with, and a permitting through them, and then they come out and they inspect that the erosion control's in place prior to you disturbing massive amounts of soil. So they want your construction apron in, they want silt fence where necessary, they want your sediment control, all of that stuff in place to give you the go-ahead to continue work on the rest of the lot. So we had an existing driveway that was 40 years old, asphalt, stone on the plan that had to be removed. In order to get my erosion control in, I had to remove that. I had to cut the new driveway in, the new construction entrance. I didn't want to be doing that twice, so I basically, the 50 feet that I needed ties into another 7,500 feet of driveway that I cut in already, and that's our construction entrance, which will then, in turn, be our permanent entrance. So that was the first thing that I really had to do. as far as moving dirt on the site, excavating, getting familiar with the grading plan, utility markouts, all of that stuff, erosion control, and then getting that inspected, which I'm actually meeting with the inspector a little bit later today. I also had to have a pretty good understanding of where everything is on the site, right? So we got our survey done. I have our engineering and our grading plan done. Lucky for me, saved me a couple of bucks. The site is big enough, and we're not dealing with super tight tolerances as far as setbacks go, that I'm laying all this out on the property, right? So I had to figure out some sort of reference points with regard to the project. So I came off edge of pavement. I got myself a parallel line. All of these measurements, I worked off of the plan, but then I made them super simple. Like my edge of pavement reference line is 50 feet off the edge of pavement. So I can then look at my plans and reference that for everything. So I'm not doing this crazy math. My perpendicular line to that I'm using for a reference point that I have string lines for is 100 feet off the property line. Again, so that I can then go to my grading plan or my building plan, and I could say, okay, well, the building is 185 feet off the property line. I have the string line. I need to come 85 feet over from that. And then I can stake out the corners of my building, my parking area, my driveway, the shop, all of that stuff. I started doing that by foot. It was a lot of walking. I was like, I should just get the engineer to come out here and stake this all out. And then I was online and I was looking, and I realized that Stabila has this LA180L, which is a layout station. And basically it's a laser with a receiver that you can put on your reference line or your marks, right? So say I want to go 50 feet off the driveway, I'll make a mark 50 feet off the driveway, and then I can go down the other end of the property and mark 50 feet off the driveway, and I can use a receiver to make sure that that laser is exactly at 50 feet. So you press a button and the laser automatically links in on where your receiver is placed at that 50 feet. Obviously, you have to have it close in the first place because there's only a certain amount of variance in the laser. I think it's 5 degrees, but it'll lock into that point, and then what it'll do is it'll shoot a perpendicular line off of that. So once it locks onto that receiver, it will go into a different mode where now it is not moving anymore, and you have a perpendicular line to that. So you can take your receiver and walk down 180 degrees or 90 degrees and get your reference line. So once I got that tool, I went from doing probably 20,000 steps a day to a couple of thousand, just because you're still setting stuff up. But it made my layout amazingly fast, amazingly efficient, and saved so much time. And I will use that same laser and that same tool at that point to do my layout for foundations. I can use it for layout for walls, all interior layouts, the layout for the shop. So right, I'm still setting some grade stakes, and I'm still setting pins, and I'm still stringing lines, but then once you dig, where do those go? So you're restringing measurements, you're restringing lines, you're restringing and checking for square multiple times over and over and over on a project. That's fine on a small subdivision on an 1/8 acre lot. When I'm walking back and forth across 2 acres on a 6 acre lot, it gets to be a lot, especially by myself. So the name of the game with me is I need to be efficient. I need to reduce my amount of steps. I need to reduce the redundancy of construction, and this LA180L is definitely helping me do that. If you don't have that tool, check that out. Shameless plug for them and that tool. Absolutely amazing. Game changer. Will save you so much time if you do layout, if you're a concrete guy, if you do decks, if you frame houses, if you frame additions, even if you do interior layouts, right, where it's like I need a 3, 4, 5 triangle. It's so quick and it's so accurate, and it does the work by itself. Truly, truly amazing tool, so check that out. So once I had all my layouts into my stakes, I'm still doing some of that. I'm flagging things, setting rebar in the ground as far as where my corners are. Sometimes they're set back, right? I know if I have to dig a ton, I'm going to set those points back 5-10 feet from where I need them, so that when I go to dig, I'm not digging up my pins. I still know where my corners are. I'm not having to take measurements many times over. I'm just having to relay things out. So if I have a 10-foot setback, I can dig up to 10 feet of that line, and then I can measure up my setback and make sure that I'm where I need to be. So moving dirt, it's crazy now, like seeing where things actually on the lot. We've owned the lot for maybe 3 years now. We've done some work, cleared some stuff, organized, really just been moving along. I got erosion control up a while ago, just trying to figure out where things are going. And it's neat to see everything actually happening in place, right? Where the driveway is going to be, where the parking area is going to be, where the shop's going to sit, where the house is going to sit. We've had this general idea of where it's been, but it's still all in your head. It's interesting to see it actually come to fruition and see it in the dirt. The parking area looks bigger than I anticipated. The house looks smaller than I anticipated. The driveway is not as long as what it looks on paper. The radius seems a little tighter than what I would have liked on paper. So all of these things that I think clients struggle with, I'm now learning on myself to say, hey, this is what I do this every day, and this is what I anticipated this to look like. And it's a little bit different. So it's teaching me to be a little bit more patient with my clients, a little bit more patient with my wife, my kids that are asking me questions, and all of those things. But it's really neat to start staking things out and digging and seeing the lot changing and the grade changing, and now having a better understand of where the water is going to run off on this job. Now that you're in it and you start doing it, you can get a feel for it more so than just looking at it on a two-dimensional grading plan or building plan. So I started cutting all this in with my Kubota KX040-4. I cut the driveway in. I was doing a bunch of grading work, and my buddy who is a dealer for Kubota at Cherry Valley Tractor, his name's Brian. His dad started the business. Him and his sister took it over. I bought my lawnmower from there. I bought my tractor from there. I bought my excavator from there. He's always helped me out. He's always given me great deals. He was messaging me. He's like, dude, you need a compact track loader. Like, I can't watch you do this with the excavator any longer. Like, you're super efficient with it. It's great, but a compact track loader is going to blow your mind. And to be honest, I didn't really want to spend the type of money. I didn't want to drop 80 grand on something that I could possibly rent, or I might not need down the road, or I'm building a house right now. We're just going to be spending a ton of money. That's not something that I wanted to spend a ton of money on. I had been in discussion with another brand that I don't use, who was like, hey, I think you'd like our equipment. They reached out to me. I thought something was going to happen with that. They pretty much ghosted me. So at that point I was like, you know what? This makes sense. Not that I want to spend the money, but I have a dealer that I like. I have somebody who's going to take care of me. I know that I can get the equipment serviced. I can get it maintained. And at the end of the day, if I'm speaking to efficiency and I'm speaking my time is worth a certain amount of money, I can't do all of this with what I have right now. I'm also looking at like tax benefits and leveraging that. I'll be spending a fair amount of money, so my expenses will be higher this year because there's a lot of aspects of my house that I have partnerships for that are part of my business that are going to run through my business because that's how I'm making money. So I'll have more write-offs this year than I typically do, but at the same time, tax code 179, you can write off 100% of the cost of a piece of heavy equipment. Look into what it is, but it's a weight rating. Year one, right? So if I spend that amount of money, I could save myself $20,000, $30,000 in taxes first year alone, which is the same thing I did with the excavator. I didn't have a ton of expenses last year. It made sense to write the entirety of that purchase off year one and get the tax savings last year. So I'll still continue to pay for that equipment, but I saved myself $20-some thousand in taxes last year. So the nice thing about this and with Kubota is they will offer you 0% financing. So the new equipment is 0% for 36 months. If you want 0%, you have to go with a smaller pay period. So it's a high monthly payment, but I didn't have to put any money down. So I didn't have to part with any of my cash, and I'm still able to write the entirety of that purchase off. So I can go into this year. It is May. I'll have 6 payments for this year, and the tax benefits will pay for the next 6-7 months worth of payments plus some. So it made sense for me to do this. Again, I don't really want the monthly payment, but I can take that monthly payment. I'm either going to pay my quarterly taxes or I'm going to put it towards equity in myself, towards developing a property, towards owning equipment, and towards something that I could potentially sell later, right? If I pay $80,000 for this and I put 1,000 hours on it, if that, I can sell it for a certain amount of money down the road that I'm going to recoup. So the purchase might pay for itself. It might not cost me any money to have this the next 18 months that I'm going to need while I build it, right? I'm going to be doing fine grading. I'm going to be doing rough grading. I'm going to have to move material. I'm going to have to move stone. And it's not super efficient to do with my Mini X. I made it work, but it doesn't really make that much sense. It didn't make sense for me to rent and not have any equipment in that. And again, with the 0% financing, being able to keep your cash or your money in savings and write that purchase off, it's somewhat of a no-brainer for me, right? I can get the cost of that equipment for 8 months or so covered, almost a year covered, just in tax savings alone. So that to me was the smarter move. I discussed it with my wife. I discussed it with Brian, who owns Cherry Valley Tractor. He was able to work some deals with Kubota and get me a couple of bucks off, which was really nice. And he dropped the equipment off because he knew I was in a pinch and he knew I needed it. He dropped the equipment off to me, which he probably, not best practice, but we know each other for a long time. But I hadn't even signed paperwork on it. He's like, I'll catch up with you the paperwork later. He sent me all the pricing, all that. You need to get insurance on the machine to get their 0% financing. So I had to do all that, and he's still waiting on my DocuSigns for the equipment. So I've had the equipment since last week, and I haven't even finalized the paperwork for it, which is just like a testament to him being able to help me and having a good quality dealer and somebody in your area who can help, right? So if you choose a type of machinery, they always say, what's your dealer like? Because you're going to have issues. It's going to go down. You're going to need service. You're going to need answers. The equipment's only as good as the dealers. I've had great luck with all of my Kubota equipment. Again, lawnmower, tractor, excavator, and now compact track loader. The dealer's been amazing to me. They help me out, but I haven't had issues with them that I really need to lean on the dealer more heavily than just the purchase. But they help me out with everything, including getting me this equipment within basically 48 hours, dropping it off at my house before 8 a.m., which was a surprise to my wife. Pretty much no questions asked, and without me even signing off on anything, just to make my life easier. So shout out to Cherry Valley Tractor, Kubota, for all of that stuff. So part of this house, like I just mentioned, I'm going to be having partnerships with companies where we are teaming up with them to use their product, to give them feedback on product, to document the build process. It's all products that I would use. I'm not looking to put stuff on this house just for the sake of putting stuff on this house, just because somebody offered it to me. But I have a lot of really great partnerships set up so far. I'm working with Rockwool. I'm working with LP for the sheathing, the siding products, all the exterior trim products. Rockwool for the exterior insulation, interior soundproofing, sub-slab insulation. I think I said exterior insulation as well as interior. Andersen Windows, all the doors. Really excited about that. We're using all Andersen 8-foot doors, casement windows, triple glaze, super energy efficient. Really excited for that partnership. I'm working with Fine Home Building and Champion Generator, so the whole house is going to have a backup generator, which is really exciting. We're on septic, so if we lose power, we lose water, we lose our bathroom. So having a whole house backup generator is going to be really amazing and really incredible there. So I'm just really grateful to have these partnerships. I'm really grateful to be involved with these people. I'm very grateful for the trust that they've instilled in me and just the opportunity to create some equity in my own home, offset some of the cost of building, and really just get products in my hands that I get to put to the test, and I get to see the durability, and I get to see how they age real time, right? So if I'm using these products on clients' houses, I know what they're getting. I know what to look out for. I'm not using my clients as a petri dish to figure out if things work or do not work. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity I have with these partners. If there's anyone else who wants to partner, if there are people who it's like, yo, I see you building your house, I want to come give you a hand for a couple days here or there. I'd like to see this product. I'd like to do that. I'd like to see what you're doing with exterior insulation. Reach out to me. Shoot me an email, tyler@trghomeconcepts.com. It's going to take an entire community of people to build this house, not just me. And anyone who wants to help, anyone who wants to come hang out, everyone who wants to be my emotional support, my physical labor support, whatever. The lot is open, the property's open. It's a nice private lot, and we can come hang out and shoot the shit and bang some nails. So if you want to be a part of this in any way, shape, or form, I had a couple of people, I mentioned that on Instagram, a couple of people who were somewhat local to me who were like, yo, I will come hang out when you get to do this part of the job because this is what I do. If you need a hand, let me know, which, again, very grateful for. It's absolutely amazing to see the reception. I posted a picture of Tilly getting the permits for this, and I think I got over 100 comments, all extremely positive, extremely kind, and really, really hit me super hard to see the reception of friends, family, community, people that I have never met in my life that say how deserving we are of this. And I just want to say thank you. I went through and I liked all the comments, but I couldn't, the amount of comments was absolutely unreal. And the amount of credit that was given to me for all of my hard work and how deserving my family was, how deserving I was, and how proud they are of what we're doing really was overwhelming to me. So I just want to say thank you to anyone and everyone who reached out to us about this. Again, this is a big move for us. This is going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of stress, a lot of long days, a lot of long nights, a long 18 months or so, but I'm really grateful to have everyone in this community backing me and just showing their support in general. So what's next for the house project? I said I'm getting my erosion control inspection today. Hopefully all things go well there. I've been trying to keep busy in the meantime, and I started laying some things out, moving some dirt around, which technically I don't think I was supposed to do, but hopefully they're pretty understanding. I have everything in place, not anything major, but it's just like I have things going, and I had some downtime in between off hours after dinner where I'm just going over there trying to putz along, get an hour or two here, hour or two there, just so I'm not wasting time. So hopefully that all goes well, and the next thing for me would be to start stripping the topsoil everywhere that we're going to be putting driveway, parking area, shop space, patio space, and house space, and get everything staked out, get some stone in the rest of the driveway, get some stone in the parking area, which will also serve as a pad for the crane that will do the superior walls foundation, and I can start excavating the house and moving some dirt around and getting rough grade done, right? So next thing for me is to get the driveway finished, strip topsoil, grit, get everything finished, staking everything out, get the stone in the driveway, get the parking pad done, excavate the basement, get the stone in there, get everything compacted, and start figuring out what we're doing for waterproofing, drainage tile, and get the foundation installed. And then I should be getting lumber dropped, finalize my truss order, get all the sheathing and subflooring from LP dropped, and get to framing shortly after that. I need to finalize some permits for my shop, and I also need to get my temp electric permit in so that I'm not working off generators the whole time. So a lot of moving parts, a lot going on, obviously a lot on my plate, but I'm going to try and document as much of this as possible, whether it's through stories, whether it's through Instagram posts, reels, video, filming some stuff myself, some products that we're using, some tools that we're using, just how I'm going through this. I'd like to document a lot through the podcast like this. I had a bunch of people reach out to me that is, hey, I'd have no idea how to go about developing a lot like this. And that's what I'm trying to do here and explain to you why I'm doing certain things, why I don't have an engineer staking everything out, where I can save money, where I can leverage certain tax benefits, just to give you guys some heads up and some insight. I'm doing this and I'm learning as I go. I'm sure there's a ton of people out there with far more experience than me, far more insight. If you have insight, if you have experience, you have suggestions, hey, you're doing something wrong, hey, you could do this better, hey, this piece of equipment would be better for you, or this process would be better, definitely reach out to me. Shoot me an email, tyler@trghomeconcepts.com. If you want to come hang out, I'll be over there. I'll be working. More than welcome. I'll get you an address. You can come hang out, stop by, and we can pound some nails together, do some layout, whatever you need to do. Let me know. Definitely open to creating this community experience here, and I could definitely use all the help that I can get. So hope you all enjoyed this update. Again, it's going to be a busy year and a half. I'm excited for it. I'm nervous for it. I'm anxious for it, but I think it's all going to be worth it. Thanks to everyone who reached out. Thanks to everyone who supported me. Thanks for everyone who's just continuing to encourage me and reaffirm that this is going to be difficult, but it's going to be one of the best decisions that you've made in your life. I appreciate that, and I don't think I could do this without all of you guys and girls. Thanks to all my partners. Again, LP, Rockwell, Andersen, Cherry Valley is helped me out with that piece of equipment, getting that here on short notice, and getting me some kickbacks. I have a ton of products that I'm going to be using on the build, and a ton of companies that I use their products, and I want to create a partnership with them. So I look forward to sharing all of that with you. And if you guys have any questions, you want anything documented, shoot me an email. Let me know. I'm also still doing consulting calls on Tuesday. I do have people who still reach out, a few people per week. I have a bunch of existing clients that I take. Normally I can turn something around in a couple of weeks. I actually have one in about 15 minutes after this for another remodeler. But if you're interested in that, if you have questions about business, if you have questions about how I'm doing what I'm doing, shoot me an email and I can get you set up with a consulting call. As far as the main podcast goes, if you guys have guest recommendations, if you have somebody that you want us to speak to, it could be in industry. It doesn't have to be within our industry. Reach out to me, reach out to Nick, shoot us an email, hello@moderncraftsman.co. Let us know who you want us to talk to, what you want us to talk about, and if there's anything that we can help or anything that you need to know or anything you want out of the podcast, definitely shoot us an email. In the meantime, sign up for the newsletter. You can get that on our social channels, our Instagram. We have the link tree on our Modern Craftsman Instagram with a bunch of free documents that you can get. The newsletter. If you can't find that, if you're struggling with that, again, shoot us an email. We'll get you all set up and fixed and ready to go. But that's hello@moderncraftsman.co. Thanks, everyone, for hanging around. I will catch you all next week on the Midweek Modern Craftsman.